up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is season 14, episode 2. So let's get into it. Before we get into it, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I got a few things for you guys that came across my timeline that I want to talk about. So first up is this thing from Jennifer. So I'm getting this by way of Bravo Snark side. So they're what's it called? Caption underneath what they posted was this: I guess being allegedly banned from doing press from RHONJ has this one a little miffed. So they're alleging that Jennifer Aiden got banned from doing press. And I guess a lot of people are saying because of the whole debacle that happened on Twitter. But this is what Jennifer said in her Insta story. She says, "I know you see me, boo, and guess what? I don't care. I know you're sorry, sad. I know you're sorry, sad life. So does everyone else. So keep on with your begging. It gives you something to do. I'm over here in my castle, thriving and progressing, giving you something vicarious to live through." She goes on to say, "We see each other. I can see you using creepy emojis too, you nutcase." So I guess she's saying that someone is either commenting or leaving emojis underneath her post, but they were alleging that she got banned. And I don't think that's fair when a part of this whole account mess on Twitter, Teresa was a part of it too, but yet Teresa is allowed to do press. And I guess when you have OG status and you are one of the main focal points of a show, it really doesn't matter what you do. But in my opinion, I don't think that's fair, because we know all of them play online. We know all of them have their girl go-to people they go to. Like Melissa's inviting troll accounts onto the show to film. We've seen like Margaret give out like gift cards to accounts. So I'm just kind of like, if we're going to punish one person, everybody to me needs to be punished. And I also don't think what happened was that deep. They keep bringing up that maybe it's because Jennifer actually allowed, like she sent out the premiere before everybody could see it and gave them tea about the fight. But we've seen accounts do that from the beginning. We've seen the ladies do that from the beginning. Like, I've seen girls get into fights on other reality shows and they'll start feeding information to the blogs. So you can tell when a certain blog is on one person's side because they have so much information. But that's just my take on it. The next thing I want to talk about is Melissa. So Melissa posted this to her Instagram, where she said this: "You don't have to tell your side of the story, time will tell." And then Margaret liked it and it says, "Time will tell, hashtag life, hashtag RHONJ, hashtag real talk." And what I find funny about this is that it's clear as day that Melissa and Teresa are like in their interviews auditioning to be a part of the reboot for next season. Because if you don't know, word on the curve is, or word on the street is, that after this season, they're either scrapping this entire cast completely, or they're going to do a reboot similar to what they're doing to Atlanta, as well as what they're doing to what they did to Miami. And when you listen to Teresa and Melissa when they're in their interviews, it's like they're trying to prove a point that they're valuable to this franchise and to this network. And it's just like, y'all allowed this to get here. Like, production allowed y'all to get here by not forcing y'all to actually sit down and communicate y'all issues with each other. And y'all allowed yourselves to build up such animosity to one another that now y'all are like begging to still stay on this show. And it's both Melissa and Teresa's fault, in my opinion. So the last thing we're going to talk about before we get into this interview is Margaret. So Margaret was on, I think it's his name, Jeff Lewis. I think it is Jeff Lewis's podcast, where she pretty much calls, and this is coming from No Smoke and No More, where they said, Margaret Joseph admits that she spoke to Louis' ex and calls Teresa a psychopath. And then they go on to say, I don't believe a word that Margaret says, and her acting all innocent like she didn't dig up, SHIT about people is comical. Hashtag RHONJ. So I'm going to play the audio for you guys, and then we're going to discuss.
And I quote, I can't wait for the world to see what a liar she is. And she was referring to you, Margaret Joseph.
I love it. I love it.
What is she talking about?
I know. Let me take the wind out of her sails. This is her big bomb. Margaret Josephs spoke to Louis' ex, Vanessa.
Okay,
Big
so
deal.
how did that happen? How did you speak to Vanessa? Did you find her?
No, I didn't find her. It's so ridiculous. It's like, I spoke to her, big deal. It was nothing major. She thinks I was the one putting things out there from the beginning. I never spoke to Vanessa before I met Louis. I never spoke to him the first year he was on the show. Nothing like that. After they spoke to Laura, I spoke to her maybe like once or twice. That was no big deal. But after the Bo Dietl stuff, I spoke to her. For sure.
But did you reach out to Vanessa on
No,
Instagram, or did
never.
Vanessa reach out to you?
Never.
Well, how
never.
did you speak to her?
That's what it was. She had DM'd, at that point with all the lawsuits and this going on, the Bo Dietl, she had reached out to, all of them. At this point,
And you
everybody was in
communicated.
contact with the Bo Dietl stuff.
Okay.
Because we were all like, what's going on here?
Okay.
Because at that point, she already had the restraining order and everything. But prior to that, I will say, with the Laura stuff, after the Laura season, I had, DM'd with her, and that was it. But nothing before that. So that's her big bomb, by
Did
the way.
she give
her
you
big
any-
bomb, Margaret, spoke to Vanessa.
Well, you are especially involved in all of this because allegedly,
Yes.
Louis called your stepson at work. Is that
No,
correct?
called, he had called, I don't want to make a big deal, he had called my son.
It wasn't allegedly.
It wasn't allegedly.
Okay.
He actually called my son.
Well,
but I don't want to
Yes.
really hyper focus on
Fine.
that, but he did. It's not even allegedly. And they're like, I lied about it. Whatever. It's not true. Bravo knows it's true. Everybody knows it's true.
So
they
they're-
would have never let me speak about it.
They're
That is
denying
why-
it, correct?
They're denying it. They said it was a spoof call. It's not a spoof call. There was a police
So they
report.
acknowledged the call.
No,
No.
yes, they acknowledged that it was a spoof call. They said it was
Okay.
a spoof call.
Okay.
They acknowledged
Right,
it was a spoof call.
But your son didn't think it was a spoof call.
No.
Well, neither did the police think it
Neither
was.
did the, first of all, there was a conversation that was had.
Mm-hmm.
There was a conversation that was had. No one, and the whole point is, I made it go away. To the fact is, I don't want to acknowledge it. I don't want to talk about it. I brought it up at the reunion just to say, this is what you did. This is why I want nothing to do with you people.
Okay.
And they're sociopaths. Teresa's a sociopath. To say to Jen Fessler, in her face, I swear on my 4 daughters, this is not true. It is true.
Is there a chance she didn't know?
That's my
Is there a
question.
chance
Yes.
she didn't know?
That he
there
was
could
doing
be, you know what? I'm not even going to give her the benefit of the doubt anymore. At the time, I was like, maybe she didn't know. Maybe they didn't tell her at the time that she could say that. But now I'm watching her lie incessantly about other things that are happening. She is lying nonstop in people's faces. I'm watching her do interviews and lie about things that are happening. Just admit that you hire people, you dig up stuff.
So, y'all just listen to the audio. Now, here's my thing. Margarita. Y'all know I like trout mouth Margaret. But she got girl, you been lying, Margaret, and you know how the tree huggers ride for that lady. Girl, someone posted a compilation of Margaret pretty much denying that she ever reached out to Louis' exes or that she ever spoke to them. Let me get that for y'all right quick. Oh, I'm disappointed. Okay, hold up. Here it is. Hold up.
Maybe you're talking to the exes, and that's why it's out now. You're crazy. How would I have information on Louis and his life? Because you're talking to people in his past. Why would I talk to people in his past? And I'm sure you inserted yourself. Inserted myself to his past? Yes. How would I know anything about Louis? Maybe someone from his past contacted you. Why did they contact me? You're a sick, disgusting liar.
That's when Teresa, what?
Dig up anything from your past. I didn't dig anything up. I had, DM'd with her, and that was it. But nothing. Maybe you're talking to the exes.
So Margaret, girl, why didn't you just admit it? Like, I think that's the part that, that's why I said nobody's hands are clean in this group. And I like Margarita Trout Mouth Margaret, okay? I like her. But it's like, you did do what Teresa was accusing you of doing, and every time she pressed you about it, you said she was acting crazy. And Margaret, I think it was more than some DMs, lady. Like, we just gonna have to call a thing a thing. That's one thing. I can like you and still call you out on your stuff, and ma'am. And it's starting to make me feel like whatever they found on you, even though I don't agree with the whole PI and digging up on people and stuff, but whatever they found, Margaret, it might have some weight to it, because I don't think you would willingly admit that you were talking to that lady's man, and now you're trying to paint this picture that like Teresa and Louis are psychopaths. Now, don't get me wrong, something about Louis ain't clean. That man seems like a snake and a snake oil salesman. He seems slimy, but I feel like he got something on you, girl, because the fact that why would you lie, Margaret? Because now it's starting to make me feel like, as much as I gave Teresa flack during season 12 and 13, and I was like, Teresa doing too much, I don't even think Margaret did that. Girl, you did it. You did it. mess. But let's get into this review. Y'all. So the episode opens up and we settle on this scene with Danielle and her kids and her husband. They're taking pictures of her daughter in the bougie kids clothes. Danielle lets us know that they've been doing really well with her being on the show and gaining visibility, that now a lot of people are interested in her brand, and now she's going to be on Fashion Week. Now, if I'm going to be honest, y'all, Danielle's clothes don't give me anything special. And that's not to say they're ugly clothes or bad clothes. It's just that, like, I feel like the outfits I saw, and even the outfits where she was like, she helped design, where the little girl was in the camo outfit, I was like, girl, that's giving very Target and Walmart. A little like Gap and Old Navy, and like, you know what I'm saying? Children's Place, limited to justice type energy, which there's nothing wrong with it. But I think when I think of bougie, I think of like uppity, like, you know, the girls with the purses hanging off their wrists, you know, you got Gucci, you got you like a little nice Chanel bag, a little cute Coach bag, Prada, Fendi. Like, that's what I think of when I hear like bougie. But what Danielle has showcased us, I'm like, that would go, like, you would sell so much more if you sold your stuff in like Walmart or Target. That's just me. You know, that's just how I see it. So while they're at the but at the photo shoot, we get more backstory on Nate. So we find out that her husband, Nate, actually had a cyst on his brain, and it's like the 6-year anniversary of like the surgery and him being in his family. So Danielle's like, you know, it's always been about me for so long. I want to celebrate you. And I'm like, that's what you should do for people you care about. Like they always say, give people their flowers while they here before they get into the ground. So I'm like, okay, cool. Not gonna lie, when they showed that picture of Nate in 2017, I said, oh, he cute. He may not be cute to me right here, but he cute back then, okay? So while they're at the photo shoot, Danielle lets us know that she not talking to her daddy. I said, that man that was crying on the couch last season about how he want his daughter and son to come back together, you not talking to him? What happened? So Danielle says she feels like her dad didn't handle the whole gift-giving situation correctly, and that she just wanted for once for him to be on her side. So if you watch the reunion, Andy asked Danielle, like, so what's up with you and your brother? And Danielle let us know that they sent a gift for the baby, because her brother's wife just had a baby, and they sent a gift for the baby and it was sent back. And Danielle felt like her dad should have like checked her brother and been like, you're an idiot, why would you do that to your sister? But to me, it feels like Danielle is holding on to like the things that she did to her brother, because there's something there. There's something there. Even last season when she said that she stopped messing with her brother because he was making fun of like her IG videos, and like she hate how he like made comments on her videos. So she would, she unfollowed him or blocked him. So then the last time she did it, they just stayed blocked. And then she also talked about how like the sister-in-law and her got into it. And I'm like, Danielle, you did something. Or you're like, I don't want to just put it all on her, but I feel like there's a lot of context that's missing, because I'm like, off of one IG video, y'all said, we done. Like, you just was like, I'm done with this person. I don't want to be like, I'm done with my sibling. And for the way your dad was crying, y'all must have had a decent relationship for him to be sobbing on that couch last season. So for now, for you to be like, he never picks my side, either one, this is for a storyline, or two, you like, your dad doesn't pick your side, or one, Danielle, you always in the wrong and you want somebody to uphold you. Because I'm just kind of like, you're not talking to your daddy, but yet you still okay with your kids having a relationship with your father as well as your husband. So for me, there's something missing, because I feel like there's way more to the reason why their relationship broke down. Because I'm like, y'all beefed out over IG. So then my mind is like, did you say something in the IG video that your brother didn't like? Were you doing something cringy that he didn't like? Like, were y'all constantly having arguments about your IG videos? It's more to that situation. And I feel like Danielle, again, like I said in the spicy corner, constantly saying, I need light. I want positivity. I'm bringing, like, it's, when people do that all the time, I normally figure out, or it normally to me reads to me, you the problem. But I don't want to say she the problem without having the full context of what's going on between the family. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, they're gonna have an anniversary party for Nate. So we then go and see Dolores. So Dolores is at Polly's house. Polly has one of the best houses on this show. Like that condo, it's lovely. And so Dolores is staying with Polly. We find out that she, I guess, renewed her real estate license. And pretty much she's like, she never wants to be financially dependent on a man. So she's very much like, I like to have my financial freedom, and that's the best way to go for everybody. Okay. Polly is like, no, I like that about you. You know, Polly don't want to have to pay Dolores like he got to pay his wife. But they start talking about what happened between him and John. And I think that validates how I felt last review, where I was like, there has to be way more context to what was going on between John and Polly. Because Polly was like, I didn't know Italian men were so sensitive. And I was like, either you said something or John said something to Polly, and then when Polly ripped back at him, John couldn't handle Polly's response. But either way, there's definitely more to that conversation they had, because they both was heated. Because Polly was like, I'll rip his head off, and John was like, we could do this. And I'm like, y'all really about to fight at a birthday party? But go off. So we then get to Teresa. Teresa looks really nice in this blue. This blue is eating for Teresa. And I even like Melissa's brown outfit. Although I don't like her hair, but the brown was cute as well in her confessional. So Teresa and Louis are planning out their their week. So we find out that Louis's father is about to celebrate 8 years of being sober, that's a strong feat, like that's not a simple task. A lot of people struggle with their sobriety. We find out that Louis and his dad really didn't have the best relationship because the father was an alcoholic, but he's excited to celebrate him in this moment because they're supposed to be having like this huge ceremony for him. So Teresa's going to that. They're also going to Nate's anniversary party, but then when they get back, Gabriella is going, they have to start packing up like the U-Haul to take her to school, and Teresa's very sad about it, but also happy. Even though Teresa gets on my nerves, one thing I can't take away from her is I love the way she loves her daughters, as well as I love how she encourages them and she doesn't stifle them. Based off of the way we see Teresa interact with other people, you would think she would stifle them, but she lets her kids fly and she's always proud of them. And I love how grateful she is to have them. So when she got emotional, I was like, oh, Teresa. And she talks about how Gabriella is like the rock in the family, basically the most responsible one, telling people to turn on the alarm, pick up and clean up after the dogs. And she was like, she's really gonna miss her because Gabriella reminds her of her mother. So she was like, that's a special girl right there. I said, again, when Teresa goes on to glory in that wheel, Gabriella getting 10% more than everybody else. Okay. So we then see Melissa. Melissa and her family are celebrating Antonia's 18th birthday. I didn't like her cake though, but I don't like when cakes have all of that stuff on it. But shouts out to Antonia. I think she's the perfect combination of Joe and Melissa. She's very pretty. So they're doing a brunch kind of situation for her birthday party so she can hang out with her friends at night. And I said, that's smart, girl. Hang out with your peoples. Hang out with your friends at night. And so Melissa's just reminiscing about how fast time has flown. She was like, they really do say time picks up really quickly, and next thing you know, your child's an adult. And we find out that Melissa had Antonia 2 months after her and Joe got married. Joe talks about in his confessional how it's been pretty, he's struggling with knowing that Antonia is about to leave, and he's just, it's his first child and it's his baby girl, so he's struggling. So while they're at this, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like they was putting on at this dinner, and I also got annoyed because I felt like they were taking the moment away from Antonia. I'm like, y'all all need to be geared towards her. You got Melissa's brother, who we find out is gay and getting married, and he's really grateful to Joe because Joe really accepted him and he wants Joe to officiate his wedding. I don't know why you would do that, sir. I don't know why. I don't know why. But he wants Joe to officiate his wedding because he was just like, Joey G really changed my life. It was like a 180 because I guess he didn't expect for a straight man to accept him, which I think is great that he was accepted with open arms by Joe. But then Melissa starts crying, or fake crying because there was no tears, about how, he don't got family. And it's like, okay, Melissa, we get it. But then also when Melissa was explaining like with Antonia, I was more it was more acceptable for me when Melissa was getting emotional about Antonia, about how, they put me on that table and they cut me open and here you were, because that's what moms do. But in this moment, I don't know, it felt forced between the brother, Melissa, and Joe. And then some of the family members I think was doing a little too much too, and I was just like, okay. And someone pointed this out on Twitter, and I thought it was interesting, is that we're getting more of Melissa's family now that Teresa, Joe, and Melissa are no longer like filming together, which I'm like, that's what should have been happening in the beginning. Like, the storyline should have never been like just the Gorgas versus the Jujiches. It should have been like Melissa kicking it with her sisters, her mom, her brother, and all them other people. And I feel like if they would have fed that in, this storyline between them beefing wouldn't be so stale. Cause y'all played it out. So I'm okay with her family being around, but I will say this scene did give stage. But shouts out to Antonia. I hope she had a good birthday. We have two scenes happening at once. So we have Margaret, Melissa, and what's her name? Rachel playing pickleball. Mind you, pickleball looks boring, but the outfits look cute. They look cute. I think Target has like a pickleball like collection. Mind you, I think Old Navy has one too. And I was so mad because they had the complete outfit. It was like black and it was like with the collar with your arms out, and the skirt was cute. They had the skirt in my size, but not the top. Horrible, because I wanted it. I wanted just so I could like shimmy my waist just for no reason. No, goodwill. I'm not going to play tennis or pickleball, but the outfit was cute to me. So they're at pickleball. They end up sitting down and talking with Rachel and Melissa about what happened at Jennifer Fessler's party. So we find out that Rachel had juvenile had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. She fell, broke her leg, and then when they took off the cast, when they placed the cast on her leg was severely swollen. So that's how they found that out. We find out that she also got a hip replacement at 18, which is crazy, and she was able to live a pretty decent life up until now, where she feels like her body's breaking apart because she's she could feel like when she picks up her kids, she could feel like spikes going up her arm. I said, girl, go back to the doctor and figure that out. That might be neurological. That might not have nothing to do with your bones. You might need to figure that out. So then we also find out that girl, Melissa's mama, almost bit the dust. Okay. I guess Melissa said her mom was holding her nephew or somebody's grandson. And I guess the mom slipped. She went down to catch the baby. Her elbows hit the ground. So I think she said she sprained or maybe broke her. I don't know what the lady broke. But when we see her down at the shore, she looked toe up. Cause the lady has a bruise on her chin. She's wrapped up, both hands are bandaged. And I'm like, girl. I mean, I'm glad the lady okay, but my God, it must have been a severe fall for all of that we got with her. So then Margaret asks Rachel about what did Teresa say. I don't even want to call John what she said. So Rachel says she called him a drug dealer. Now, Margaret, I like you, but a lot of people pointed out, you were so quick last season to call Jennifer Aiden, a drug addict because she smoked weed, but you can't call somebody who actually got convicted and went to jail with the intent to sell drugs a drug dealer. Don't do that, Margaret. Don't do that. The way you be talking to people, don't do that. You be calling people animals. You call people psychopaths. And that's why I like you, because you get gutter. But girl, call that man what he was. Even if it was 20 years ago, because Rachel's he was 17 and he got caught with selling weed and he went to jail. Either way, girl, he got convicted. He went to jail. People can call him a drug dealer if they feel like it. But I feel like it got to be more to it than that, because no one's going to jail for a little amount of weed like that, unless you black, okay? But especially at 17, they can normally write that off, and you probably would get probation, severe probation. But the fact that he actually got convicted and went to jail makes me feel like, baby, it was a lot of weight he was moving, okay? So So Rachel says she don't want to talk to Teresa. She's like she's a disgusting human being. She's a criminal. And I'm like, so was your husband? And like, what are we doing, Rachel? What are we doing? And she was like, I'm done with her. And what I find interesting is we see two parallels when you look at Real Housewives of Potomac, where it was like a fraction in the group, and everybody was so like annoyed with this fracture. But it's interesting to see how people are like okay with this fractured with this group. When I'm like, it really doesn't make an eventful show, in my opinion. But also, I don't understand how people can be so like digging their feet in so harshly about like, I'm not filming with her, I'm done with her. And it's like, it's a reality show. Y'all are supposed to be able to have discourse and move past things. Now, granted, some things you can't move past. Like what happened between Candy and Phaedra, I get why Candy don't want to move past it with Phaedra, even though I don't get why she moved past it with Portia. But that's just me. But I get why that happened. What y'all are going through is not that deep. Y'all were hurling insults back and forth at each other. And it's not that deep to be like, she's a criminal. She's a disgusting piece of, like, it's not that deep, y'all. It's not that deep, in my opinion. So then we have Teresa, Danielle, and Jennifer Aiden at Teresa's house, and they're doing like this butt machine. We find out that Gia is back at home. She graduated from college, and now I guess she's studying to take the LSAT, which I think you have to take before you can actually like apply and go to law school. It's kind of, I think it's along the same lines as like the MCAT for medical school. So she's planning on retaking it. We know she wants to do immigration law, mainly because of what happened with her dad. Teresa talks about how she's so emotional. Like she was like, I normally don't get emotional, and Gia was like, yeah, you do. And I was like, yeah, you do, Teresa. If you're not crying, you angry. Like it's either tears or anger with you, ma'am. So they have this machine that they're putting on their butts that I guess like contracts your muscles. Either way, it looks like it hurt, because the moment they did it to Teresa was grabbing on the bed and like her butt went in, like it clenched. When Danielle did it, the same thing happened. So Danielle is talking to Teresa, and mind you, before that, when I tell you Jennifer for the past but the past 2 episodes has gotten a good chuckle out of me. So they bring up about the double-sided dildo again, because what's her name? Danielle's like, it's a lot of ass talk. And then what's it called? And I think either Teresa said double-sided dildo, but then Jennifer was like, no, what she said? She said, what people do in their boudoir is what they do. If you like a little tickle the ass, tickle the ass. I don't know why that made me giggle. I said, Jennifer, shut up. She said, you want to tickle the ass? Tickle the ass. And maybe it's because of the way she said it, but it got a good laugh out of me. So Danielle lets them know that she's staying with Rachel and Jim Fessler for when they go down to the Shore house. And Teresa and Jennifer are like, okay, but Teresa's like, I don't make people choose who they can be friends with. Do I want to be friends with Rachel? No. But like, if that's who you want to be cool with, that's who you want to be cool with. Do you, boo-boo? Do you? But she was like, I don't want nothing to do with the lady. So they're at the Shore. We end up seeing Margaret and Joe, her husband, go to Melissa and Joe's place. Like they're staying with them down at the Shore. Melissa lets them know she wants to throw a birthday party for Joe because his birthday is during the week while they're down there. And since everyone's down there, they're like, we might as well invite everybody. So Margaret makes a comment where she was like, are you inviting Jennifer Aiden? And Melissa's like, I don't really know. Like she didn't talk to me at Jennifer Fessler's birthday party, and she was like, also I'm beefing with her bestie, so I don't know what that's like, you know what I'm saying? So then we see the mom. Girl, the mom is down bad. I felt so bad for that lady. She just looked she looked bad. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like you really got hurt. So Margaret's just happy to be at Joe and Melissa's place and not having to be anywhere else. Mind you, I think Joe and Melissa have the best Shore house out of everybody, but I didn't like the dig that John said when he was like, they were making fun of Dolores and Teresa having to be at Jennifer Aiden's place because, Jennifer brought her kids, and she was like, you think I want to listen to kids running around at 3 a.m. in the morning? I'm like, Joe, you don't even have enough money to buy Margaret a Shore house, so be quiet. Hush. Okay. But also, I like Jennifer's kids, especially Olivia. I hope Olivia keeps that personality. Like, she just has such, like, the little girl got charm, okay? She has such, like, charisma. And I hope she stays the same. Like, I hope no one tries to stifle her personality, or she feels the pressure to conform, because I just like her. Like, she just see, like, when they had the early scene in the beginning of the episode where Jennifer was like, oh my God, I forgot, we got to go get y'all school supplies. I didn't get y'all a backpack. And she was like, oh, we have to get one. I think she said Vampire Diaries. And she was like, so I can look at my crush every day. And the sister looked at her like, girl, what? And then Olivia was like, why are you looking at me like I'm some weirdo? And the sister was like, because you are. I was like, but she just seems like a really good kid. So I hope she stays the same. But I think Olivia was the only one that was down at the Shore House with them. So I'm just kind of like, I don't think Olivia be loud like that unless they invited the other kids. So then, what else? So like I said, Louis, Polly, and Teresa and Dolores are going to be at their place. So yeah. So then we end up seeing Jennifer Fessler pull up to Rachel and John's place. So Jennifer is happy. She's thanking Rachel for the birthday. Rachel is singing Jennifer's husband's praises. I'm gonna just call her Jennifer Fessler. She's singing the Fessler's praises, okay? And so they then get on the topic of Teresa and the whole argument that happened between Rachel and Teresa. And Fessler was like, yeah, that was the only thing that was kind of a downside to the birthday party, was the way you two were arguing. And then John was like, they're not good people, like, just horrible people. Like, I'm done with them. The door is closed. And then Rachel gets on Fessler where she's like, and you still want to be friends with her. And Fessler is like, I mean, she ain't never done nothing to me. I mean, like, she was like, but I do know Teresa fights dirty and she gets low, but y'all also get low too. And I was like, yeah, y'all are a cast full of gutter snipes. When one person gets low, the next person gets a little bit lower. So it's like, what did Rachel expect? Now, I do think Teresa's kicked it off because she didn't have to go over there and talk to Rachel. But it's just kind of like, when you fighting. Some people don't fight fair when they're having verbal disagreements or physical altercations. I just saw a video of two studs fighting, and they was like trying to pull the lady mouth open. I was so confused. So confused. So Rachel pretty much is just like, I don't get it. I don't get why she wants to be friends with her. Rachel is telling Fessler, like, you see the way she treats me. Why would you want to be friends with me? Friends with Teresa. And I guess Rachel's whole thing is like, me and you are supposed to be locked in like this. Why do you want to be friends with somebody who is treating me badly? And that is true. But like, again, I go like, this is a reality show. Like, Fessler is a friend of the show. Like, maybe she's trying to make sure she gets as much screen time as she can. But also, I'm like, if she doesn't really have an issue with her, why do y'all want her to take on the issue? And I think that's my issue with the Fudas, is it feels like they want everybody to just be on their side. The same way when John and Joe were trying to check Paulie about his relationship with Louis. Now it feels the same way with Jennifer and Rachel. Like, it's just kind of like, let people come to their own conclusions and let them decide that way. Because I feel like when you try to force people's hands, it doesn't work well for you. Because in the end, either they choose the other person and you're left feeling like, oh my God, or they choose your side, but now that person is looking at you like, I can't, like, because I would look at people funny. Like, unless somebody is something egregious to you, yeah, pick their side. But like, again, I'm like, it's a reality show and y'all are filming. So like, I don't think it's fair to try to box people in. But that's just my thoughts. So, the next scene we have is of Danielle pulling up to Rachel's house. And Danielle is nervous because she's like, she don't like being in the middle. But I feel like Danielle is making this more than what it needs to be. Because you already spoke to Teresa and Jennifer, and they pretty much said, we don't got no problem with you hanging out with them. So I feel like you're putting too much weight on yourself and you're overthinking it, Danielle. So she really wants to be friends with Rachel. I don't know. She really, 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 really wants to be friends with Rachel because she's just kind of like, it feels feels so great to be wanted, to like be at their place, to be like she really wants to be cool with them people. So I'm like, okay, cool. But I feel like Danielle might have played herself. And the reason why I say that is I've seen a couple of interviews with not with Dolores, with Teresa, with the rest of the cast except Jennifer. But in those conversations with Melissa, Rachel, and Margaret, they don't really speak about Danielle. Like Melissa said something about like Danielle got Jennifer's number, like with their whole feud, but with everybody else, like they don't say anything else about her. And when I listened to Danielle's interview about like her time on the show, she's singing their praises kinda, and they paying her dust. So I feel like sis got herself caught up, low key. I kind of do. So she gets there, she's appreciative that they're allowing her to stay at their place. She talks about how she wants tonight to be fun and light and everyone just bringing good energy. And then John is like, when someone pushes you, you got to push back. And here's my thing. I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not a gorget. Okay. I told y'all the only two people I really like on this show is Trout Mouth Margaret and New Nose Jennifer. But there's something about John that I feel like he wants a confrontation with Louis and he wants a confrontation with Teresa. And they've kind of been paying him dust. Like we'll get to it. When they pulled up to the party, he talking about like, get ready. Like they're not even bothering you. They not even looking for you at the party. They have yet to speak about you in their confessionals. Mind you, Teresa said something about she got tea on Margaret, like legal tea. And I'm just like, and that's what Margaret was talking about in that interview with Jeff Lewis about how, the tea is that I spoke to Louis' exes. But I feel like there might be more to that. It might be more to it. I don't know. Louis is shifty, but I feel like he possibly could go toe to toe with Margaret. Possibly. But basically, I just feel like the fooders want an issue. I really do. I really feel like they want an issue. And like, I get why they're mad at Teresa and Louis, but it's like, y'all look pressed. Y'all really look pressed. And I don't know if y'all want to be perceived that way, but that's how it's coming off to me. So it's time for everyone to go to the party. They're all in different cars. Teresa's telling her car about how much of a good time she had at the sobriety party. Dolores is like, I'm happy for you. You always wanted a big family. Then we see Melissa and Joe and Margaret in another car. And they're talking about how Joe is officiating Melissa's family, brother's wedding. I wouldn't want him officiating my wedding because when they were like, Joe, practice, because he's not going to practice. He's going to wing it and probably, you don't need to be winging it at my wedding. I need somebody that's true to this, not new to this, okay? Pay too much money for you to mess up my day. So, who else, y'all? So then the other card was with Danielle and the rest of the cast. And Danielle pretty much said she didn't invite Jackie because, Jackie was being mean to her last season, which I don't have a problem with. Like, Jackie, you did come in hot with that girl. You was talking about her clothes. You wasn't being very nice to that lady. So she had every right not to invite her to the party. But I guess Jackie is down there because we see in the preview that she's going to be at Joe and Melissa's, Joe's birthday party next episode. So they all pull up to the event. It's really nice. They have a nice spread of food. They got a brain cake. And Danielle even makes a comment where she was like, we got food here. Not like at Rachel's event where didn't nobody have nothing to eat. And that's why everybody was in their feelings, which I did peep that it was just alcohol and candy. Girl, no wonder everybody was hot and upset. They was dehydrated. So we then meet Danielle's friend, Tiffany, and her husband. We find out that Rachel kind of knows Tiffany because her husband, John, works on the same, they're working on the same project with Tiffany's husband. Not gonna lie, Tiffany's husband was giving mafioso vibes, which was kind of sexy. I don't he was just staring strikingly through the crowd. And I was like, oh, okay. So we then see the girls come and sit down and we find out that Tiffany's cousin is best friends with Danielle, and that's how Danielle and Tiffany know each other. So they're sitting down and they're all talking, and Margaret was like, who is a second wife? And I said, see, Margaret, that's why the girlies don't like you. Because why would you say that? And then Tiffany, I think Tiffany might be in hot water because she was like, I'm the upgrade. And I said, girl, and there could be another upgrade after you too, Tiffany. Because your husband is cute. That's a good looking man. Like, you could definitely be the, like, you could definitely be, like, they could definitely upgrade you more. He could upgrade more, girl. So, they're all talking about the party, and Jennifer Fessler was like, oh, it was a wonderful party. And then Margaret was like, but we had a couple of ragtag fights. And then Rachel was like, no, I'm not the problem, okay? I'm not the problem. And then they bring up the whole Teresa situation. So then Teresa and Louis and Jennifer, all of them walk in, and that's when you hear John say, get ready. And I was just like, you expect, it's like he's anticipating a fight. And I'm like, they not worried about you, sir. So, like I said, it's giving pressed. Like Joe's press, John's press, Rachel's press, Margaret's press, and Melissa's press. And mind you, I told y'all, I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not a gorget. Okay, I told y'all the two people I remotely like on this show is New Nose Jennifer and Trout Mouth Margaret. But like, I'm gonna have to call a thing because when Louis, Teresa, Jennifer and Dolores stepped up on the scene, everybody's energy shifted. So you can definitely tell that they are bothered by their presence, and they really do not like Teresa and Louis. Like, they do not like them people. Because you got John being like, get ready. Then you hear John saying, your boy is here. Or somebody saying, your boy is here to Joe. And Joe's like, no, my boys are right here. My boys are right here. I said, okay, sir. Then Margaret has a sourpuss face on. Rachel has a stank face. And so does Melissa. Like, she's just kind of like, okay, get ready because here comes some mess. So everybody's greeting each other. You hear Melissa be like, hi, Louis. Hi, Teresa. And then you see Margaret tap like Melissa on her leg, like, girl, don't do that. And I was with Margaret because I'm like, first of all, you look pressed. And second of all, if Teresa could have heard you and she turned around and said something to you, like, what did you say, Melissa? Melissa's response would have been like, you want to go there with me, Teresa? When it's like, you don't want to be acting funny right now. So if she get the acting funny, you need to be prepared. Okay, don't get activated if you not go when she get activated, okay? Because you activated the whole situation, all right? So, like I said, they really don't like Teresa or Louis. We find out that Danielle has like a gospel choir, and like I said on Twitter, the only time we're gonna get black people besides Black Dolores on this show is when they performing for these people. Catch it. So we then have the guys asking Nate about his surgery. Like, Paulie was like, well, how long were you down? And he was like, not really down that long. Once they got it off my brain, I was good to go. So we see Jennifer Fessler mingling throughout the party, and she comes upon Jennifer Aiden, and she's like, oh, do you have your weed pen with you? Like, do you have weed? And Aiden was like, oh, I have my pen with me, do you want it? And she was like, yeah. So, Jennifer's like that. I said, girl, etiquette, we don't ask that out in the open. That's, you go on the side of the house and, smoke it, or we go to the car and we hit like, don't be doing that in the public now. So we then see Teresa take the Fessler to the side to have a conversation. And I have to give Teresa that. At least she said, like, last episode, I'm going to have a conversation with Jennifer Fessler, and I want to know, is what Frank Catania told me true about them plotting against me and my man? You got Rachel in her confessional being like, what are you doing? Like, mad at the fact or feeling some type of way about Fessler going to talk to Teresa. Even Margaret was like, looking for Jennifer, and then you actually hear a conversation between between Margaret and Rachel about Jennifer Fessler, basically saying, she went and talked to her. Let me see. She said, she went and talked to her. She was like, you see Jennifer Fessler, when she gets a little cocktails in her, you never know what's going to come out of her mouth. And then you hear Rachel, I think, being like, she kind of like, she felt some type of way, like genuinely, like, I was like, y'all really do, like, they really don't like Teresa, because them talking should not make you feel that way, in my opinion. Like, if I saw my friend talking to somebody I don't like, would I be irritated? Slightly. I'd be annoyed, but I wouldn't be like, perturbed the way they were, in my opinion, the way they were acting, in my opinion. So they're sitting down and talking, and you can tell that Jennifer Fessler wants to be friends with Teresa. Like, she likes Teresa. She really does. So Teresa asks Jennifer, like, did y'all say did you say, like, they didn't execute the plan when we were in New York? And Jennifer Fessler was like, no, but she was like, yes, we did meet up. It was me, Melissa, Joe, Margaret, Joe, and like me and my husband and Rachel and John. And pretty much they were preparing themselves for whatever Louis was going to throw out at them by way of the PI. And, you know, she said, I never said they didn't execute the plan. What I said was, y'all brought these manila envelopes and y'all never used them. And then they showed when John had the envelopes, and she was like, you want to play dirty? I can play dirty right here. But he never, the Fessler said, he never threw him out there, or he never used the evidence in there. She also said that Margaret had a recording of, I guess, the conversation between Louis and her son, and she was like, but she never played it. And then Jennifer Fessler was like, well, Margaret was really upset and distressed about Louis contacting her son. And then Teresa was like, she said, I swear on my 4 daughters, I never did that. Like, we did not do that. And I'm like, Teresa, because I'm not going to lie, I believe that they contacted her son, or somebody contacted her son, like, as like a third party. But again, her son is an adult, like a grown adult, like a man in his like 40s, I think, or like 30s. And then on that, in the spicy corner, when she was in that interview with Jeff Lewis, Margaret said that that they have a police report. I'm like, why didn't you bring the police report to show validity to it? I don't know. But Jennifer Fessler says she does want to talk to Teresa one-on-one about that conversation, because like she could tell her friend was hurt about it. That's where I think Fessler is messing up, because Margaret specifically asked you not to do that. So you crossing a boundary right there. But then she asked about the whole drug dealer comment that she made about John. She was like, did you say that John was a drug dealer? And she said, no, I said he was a drug dealer, but like, I see he's a great father, a great husband, but I was just trying to bring the comparison between the two. So she was like, I never did that. So they seem to be cool. All the while we have a conversation between John, Tiffany, the new girl, her husband, and Rachel, where John is like, if someone said that you did something or called you something by a convict, would you, like, how would you feel? And Tiffany was like, I would fight, like, for my husband. Like, I would fight against whatever they were saying against him. And I'm like, y'all are pressed. Y'all are like, you're making this an issue. Like, John, at the end of the day, we know John Fuda isn't your real last name. Rachel's last name is Fuda, and you took her last name, which I don't have anything, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But there's been so much information out there about you, like, changing everything about yourself so that when you got on this show, you wouldn't be like, people couldn't like access you and figure out your past. So my thing is, like, nobody can shame you for your past if you don't feel ashamed of it. And I'm not going to discredit the baby mama, even though she is a convict and has bouts, I think, with like drug abuse or whatever. But at the end of the day, just because she has those issues doesn't mean she's lying on you. It doesn't mean she's lying on you. I feel like if you would just accept that, like, you did what you did and resolve those issues, you wouldn't be this angry. Because getting called a drug dealer ain't that deep, bro. Especially if it happened 20 years ago, like your wife is saying. Unless it was way, way deeper than that. But that was the end of the episode. Yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic. And definitely hop down in them comments below and share your thoughts with me. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.